GD, not the StreamYard link, the show link.
Oh, you want me to take that off? Shit.
Yeah.
Astronauts to the moon.
Houston, we have a problem.
Astronauts to the moon.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new episode of Heliopsychosis podcast. This is your host, Vikka, Draziv. Guys, welcome to the show. If you're joining us from YouTube, do like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Hit that bell icon. And if you're watching us from Fern or Heliopsychosis group on Facebook, welcome too. And do comment and tag your friends. Help us grow the community.
New York.
And finally, if you're watching us from realtruthseekers.com or realtruthseekers.net, we have a huge community there too. So welcome everyone there. And yes, realtruthseekers.com is one of our main sponsors for this show, Heliopsychosis, and most of our coming productions. So make sure, guys, check out realtruthseekers.com. What an awesome topic we got today. There is my two co-hosts are joining me today for this awesome topic. Maybe Keith will join us. And so Rob Taylor, everybody know him from Flat on the Curve, also a helicopter pilot, a scientist. Yes, and awesome input always, and it's great to have you. Rob, how are you?
Hey, Vikka, thank you. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for all your work putting this together. I will say your tireless work in organizing all of our events, all of our discussions. Thank you, Vikka, the guru of Flat Earth. That's nice. I want to say we have at least two gurus. We have three, really. We got Vikka, the Flat Earth guru. We've got Alex Michael. He's the Flat Earth music guru. And then we've got Gregory Garrett. He's the Flat Earth technical guru. He knows all the facts. We know the tops of the subject, but Gregory Garrett, he knows the mountain of evidence underneath all the topics that we know. So that being said, it's nice to be here. Thanks to Vikka and thanks to Gene with two great colleagues here. We've got a great topic today. Looking forward to talking about we could call him the way the universities treat Einstein. He's more or less the way they treat him. He's the quote grandfather of the current university myth. The current university myth, which is gravity, relativity, and astrophysics. It all starts with quote Einstein. Today we are going to put Einstein to rest. We're going to lay Einstein to rest. We're going to destroy the Einstein myth, as many have before us, but we're going to lay it all, we're going to bring it all out together. We're going to bring it all together today. And just literally, when we destroy Einstein, which has been done many times before, obviously, when we destroy Einstein, there goes the university myth. It's gone. They have no base. And any of us could go to any university forum. I'd like to go back to my university, the superintendent of West Point Military Academy, and show the entire student body in front of the superintendent why and how gravity is a myth, and so is relativity, and so is astrophysics. There goes their science. I can't wait, guys. Thanks for the introduction. Back to you.
Oh yeah, Rob, definitely. For sure, many people have debunked Albert Einstein, but what we're going to be discussing today in detail of what exactly he did and what his stuff that is of no value, zero value. So yeah, it's going to be great. And my next co-host who always join us too, everybody know him, Jeannie. Jeannie, how are you? Well,
Hey, Vikka, I'm doing really well, bro. Thanks for having me and putting the show together, as always. It's about 8 o'clock in New York right now. It's getting a little dark. I know it's 2 o'clock in the morning for you. And just thanks a lot for taking all your time out. And thanks to everyone in the audience, in the chat room who's there right now. Hi, everybody. It's good to have you back. Good to see you. And yeah, Einstein was Freemason plant put there. He was the Coke and Pepsi of the scientific world of the day, and he rivaled Tesla. So Einstein and his equation, E equals mc squared, is everybody knows that equation. Not a lot of people know what it means. It doesn't really equate to anything in the real world, though. So he went and figures out the speed of light in one equation, and then he goes and breaks the speed of light, which is the ultimate speed. So he contradicts himself, and this will be a fun show. Great job, Vikka. Thanks, bro.
oh, Jeannie, welcome, bro. It's always great to have you too. You know what the real meaning of E equals mc squared is? Energy equals milk and coffee 2 times. That's what is the real definition, and gives you full energy.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So Albert Einstein is supposed to be considered like exceptionally, drastically one who changed the field of theoretical physics. So he's an idol for many young people. His name is almost synonymous of genius. But the truth is he may be different, taking into account other aspects and data that are not commonly mentioned. For example, it is said that Einstein could not even tie his own shoelace.
Exactly. Einstein in German means 1 stone. It means IQ of 1. That's what Einstein really means. And that's deliberate. Now, we can talk about the more than 100 German and Austrian confirmed scientists that wrote a manifesto. Literally, they got together, wrote a manifesto stating, identifying, and rejecting Einstein and all of his theories. They said this is more akin to poetry, meaning comic book material, than science.
Well, it's theoretical, though. So wasn't it like 180 of them?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
There's a whole lot of them. Remember,
a ton of them.
when he first presented his theoretical garbage, which was just a plagiarist work of several other people. When he put it all together, he introduced it at Bern, BERN, Switzerland. They rejected it outright, and they mocked it.
So that's when he left Switzerland?
Probably to the United States, who regularly said, and so imagine that. Real scientists in Bern, Switzerland, they even wrote a manifesto about the guy. They said, this guy's a clown. But so why is Einstein the grandfather of the U.S. or the U.S. university system? How can we have that? Who's the idiot here? Who's the idiot that made Einstein the fool, the grandfather of the U.S. education system? There's something wrong here.
Well, there's a quote where someone said, "Hey, what's it like being the smartest guy in the world, Einstein?" And he said, "I don't know. You got to ask Tesla."
Yeah, exactly right.
I don't know if that's real or not, but
if you want truth, here's what Tesla said. If you want truth of science, I'm sorry, that's what Einstein said. You got to go to Tesla. If you want truth, you want the spiritual truth, you got to go to James E. Talmage, who wrote a book on Jesus Christ. Einstein said that too.
Tesla was talking about frequency and vibration.
Yeah, of course. Right? Real science. Real science. Yes.
And plant as well, though.
And what's the frequency of the motion of the Earth?
I don't know.
0, because it doesn't move. Come on, there's a trick question.
You know what he was doing in Bern? He was just through his friend, through the influence of his friend. He was into patent office, where he was just reviewing documents of the patents of household stuff. Nothing technical, nothing industrial, machinery, nothing. He was just there as a clerk there reviewing papers of all these patents in Bern.
Yeah, in the patent office, because he couldn't get a job in the scientific community.
Exactly right, because he got rejected. So what's the expression? 0 to hero. He's no different than Bill Gates in the medical world.
Right.
What medical experience does Bill Gates have? The same as Einstein in science. He's nothing.
And you know what?
Al Gore in global warming went from 0 to hero overnight. Same story. Luciferian story. That's it.
Yeah, they get the camera time. He was like the Kardashians or the Neil deGrasse Tyson of the day.
There you go.
He had the camera and everyone's attention. And you know what? If there's plenty of videos on him, you can watch him do speeches and all kinds of stuff, right? And what I've ever seen, it looks like he's reading stuff that he never read before, and he has no idea what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's obvious, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really
he didn't really bring nothing new or original in the field of quantum mechanics or any other science, But it's opposite. He took the ideas from others, and then the media, with the help of media propaganda, turned him into a hero. Like his education, Einstein education. Like it's a part of important of this story of Einstein, but he himself, his education showed that he had little to none capacity at the age of 15, even to pass, simple school exams. He left school without a diploma also, He himself is written in an article about his school, about his lack of imagination and ability. Like in 1895, he failed a simple entrance exam for School of Engineering in Zurich. And the exam consisted mainly of maths problem. And Einstein proved to be a mathematician, not very capable in mathematics in that exams.
Excellent. I didn't know that.
That says it all. If you want to, Vikka, I'm going to connect two dots here. 2 dots make a line. This works in every historical assessment, okay? You just gave us a point, a dot here. Einstein could not do math. Here's another one. If you want to know about any figure in history, read his book. Okay, read his book or learn about the guy. Okay, for example, if you want to know, when I was in Uganda, when I was a military diplomat in Uganda, if you want to know about Museveni, read his book, because he wrote a book. And what you find out is he's complete communist. He's no different than Lenin. That's how he's gained control in tribal Africa. Okay, so if we want to know about Museveni, read his book. If we want to know about Einstein, I don't know if he has a book. Read his history, just like you did. When we look at his history, that tells us everything about him that we need to know. He's a failure. He's a mathematical failure. How can he invent something like this theory?
Exactly.
He did not invent it. It was handed to him. No different than no different than all this medical garbage was handed to Bill Gates and to Al Gore. It's the same story. They don't know. They're just actors.
Yeah, and Elon Musk as well.
He's a clown. And Elon Musk as well. Exactly. It's the same story. The same clown story. That's all it is.
Sure is.
And here we are identifying it, because we've already figured it out. Beautiful.
And he quickly, when he got to the United States, he quickly went to. He was like a recluse. He didn't want to really talk to too many people. And when he was out in public, he was surrounded by goons, not other scientific guys. He's,
Of course, goons with
henchmen.
cameras, goons with suits
Yeah.
and cameras, right? Shirt and neckties and cameras. And while to protect him while he wore his women's slippers.
Yeah, that's a different story.
He was a clown. There's an image meme out there that shows that. Did he marry his cousin, like his first cousin? I don't know about that.
Exactly. No, his first wife was called Miliband Marwich.
Yeah.
So
That's
this is the first one
he had the kids with.
and they gave it up to the orphanage, and then they got married.
Right.
And they gave her up for the adoption, the daughter of him and her. And after, I heard, like, also the kid died, and the two children before that, like, he divorced this woman, and then he later married his cousin Elsa.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it was his first cousin then, yeah.
Check this out. The mom, his mom and her mom were sisters, so they were first cousins there. And if their grandfathers were somehow related, so they were second cousins and first cousins.
Oh wow! Look at that.
AMC squared. That's where they discovered relative humidity together, I suppose, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, you know what? In his case, what do we call? We know what relative motion is, right? Well, for him, it was relative motion. It was quite intimate.
Imagine. And no offense, but did you ever see pictures of those two people?
No, I haven't. Well, actually, I saw
good
one.
For you.
But it wasn't explicit. Yeah, good for me.
Yeah.
Witness.
Can't unsee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what a clown show.
Yeah, so he was all the time trying to get himself as a professor in the engineering school, but he couldn't even pass the exams, and he was not even creative. He was not even like smart, like in the Swiss Polytechnic Institute of Zurich, Einstein had a reputation of be a man with bad habits, like less work and laziness.
Disorganized, lazy, absent-minded. Didn't even cut his hair, right?
He was too busy with a chalkboard.
Exactly. So he didn't release his stuff till in the starting of 1900s. So. And while working full time without the help of university colleagues, graduate student lab, any other things, normally associated with environmental academic, Einstein spared his time, wrote 4 groundbreaking essays. His 4 groundbreaking essays, right? The field of theoretical physics, the quantum mechanics, that was published in 1905.
Yeah. So,
right, you got a Nobel Prize for that.
Exactly. So he couldn't even do basic math, but he gets a Nobel Prize. That's kind of like the U.S. president in 2012. He had done nothing to establish peace, but he got the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, what did he do? Peace Prize. Oh my God.
Okay. That Nobel Prize
that was
Committee,
horrendous.
okay, yeah.
And he was handing them out like they were nothing too. No, didn't Ellen DeGeneres get one from him?
Exactly right. Yeah,
that's kind of sad.
So, the lower. Yeah, exactly right. So
and many people in his time also recognized the impossibility of such a feat. Including himself. And he himself said that the idea came to him out of nowhere. He was sleeping because he just get that idea in the dreams.
In a dream in a cave. Let me guess.
That I can believe, but I don't believe it really happened to him. But I think you can get messages in dreams. But I don't think it's really happened to him. They got that when they handed him a book.
Yeah, exactly.
But you see how they'll throw a little truth in there? I think that could have been a little hint of truth where, listen to yourself, pay attention to what what your mind tells you, have a good conversation in your own head, and you'll be good. You'll know the answers. That's where they are.
Let me tell you, I studied military propaganda. As long as there's a shred of truth, we can publish it. You see what I mean? And we can twist it and spin it right we want. As long as there's a shred of truth. As long as we can point at some kind of truth and say, look, here it is. We can spin whatever we want. Yes. So you two both know this. What did Einstein claim? I mean, his own statement about observational evidence of the motion of the Earth. With all these theories.
Oh yeah, that it can't be proven, and it's an embarrassment that they can't prove it.
Exactly. That there is no visual evidence of the motion of the Earth. It cannot be proven. There it is. He stated it himself.
No machine can detect it.
Right.
So.
No machine, no,
but yeah, I mean,
no experiment, no nothing. There is no evidence of it.
You know, when I asked Google how to find out the distance to the sun, they said they check it from Venus, and I just laughed right away. But then when I said, how do they know how far Venus is? They'd send you to like Mars or something else. It's a circle that they keep sending you in. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just
exactly.
You know,
it's an endless loop circle, and it's
it
one
really
big
is
self-licking ice cream cone. That's what all this theoretical physics. It's one big self-licking
That's really funny.
theoretical ice cream cone. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Remember, the order of error in all their cosmology is 10 with 120 zeros behind it.
Right, Michio Kaku.
Right.
And you know, the first time I saw that guy with his messy hair, I immediately, my first thought was, here comes the new Einstein. Look at this guy.
Check it out.
And I don't like to be like that, but
he said he's the Japanese Einstein, right?
that's what they turned him into too. That was like in 1995 or something like that when I first saw him.
Right? The Mad Professor. Remember on the movie Back to the Future? The Mad Professor was this
It's Einstein, because anybody with crazy hair is a genius. You know, that's what they want to show in every aspect.
It's hilarious.
Look what they did.
You can't
even have crazy hair without thinking about this guy.
Oh yeah, they sell that image.
What does that say about all the CEOs and corporate executives? They can't be geniuses because they can't have long hair and beards. You with me here? All they are is executives. They're servants. They are servants in that world. You see what I mean?
Yep. That's where the necktie comes in.
Exactly. The necktie represents. I will say this.
It's a reminder.
The necktie is the noose. It's the leash. Okay.
Yeah, and it's to remind them we got you by the neck every day.
Exactly. Right. And the shaved face and the short hair, it looks like a little boy without experience, without You with me? That's what the shaved face and the short hair. It precisely, Gene. Precisely. They don't have any experience. They look young, okay? So they don't have a man's experience, like a gray-headed old man. They'll never have it as long as they're shaved hair and shaved face and short hair. They'll never be respected as an aged man with experience. Which was why I gave that shit up in 2012. I literally gave it up. I said, I ain't doing this. I didn't know everything I know now, but I knew enough. When Benghazi hit, I was enough of a military diplomat overseas. I'll tell you, I was a seasoned war veteran of Afghanistan. And I came back, I was on my way back to African continent when that in Benghazi happened. And that was enough to show me that it's all one big lie. I extricated myself from the leash and the military enslavement. I was gone.
Yeah, I remember the wave of you guys that left during when that happened. I was pretty amazed to hear about it too, and it was felt throughout.
Well, there's a lot of people, like you said right there, they understood what happened at Benghazi. It was one big
immediately.
Farce.
It was like boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Pretty crazy. It was a little scary, even. Like, oh shit, the guys are fucking quitting left and right.
Oh, did you? So you knew about that? I haven't met. Tell you the truth, I haven't met anybody else who did anything about that. But I will proudly say that I did. But now with that experience, now we can connect that to Al Gore and Bill Gates and whatever that other dude and everybody else. It's the same pattern. They use actors to lie to the world. whereas they're still controlling, they are still controlling the middle of it. They're at the center. They use actors to do their dirty work. There you go.
Yeah, and they're still perpetuating this, as they still perpetuate this Einstein fallacy that doesn't even exist, with numbers that you'll never see, and then they make the numbers infinite, that so you can't be faster than the speed of light, and then they go and square it. Like,
yes,
wow.
exactly. They make them so infinite, so the average person won't even dream of trying to calculate. But you and I can calculate on the back of a napkin. Seriously.
Yes.
It was all a tactic.
Many people freaking out with him, with that a person with like age of 26, could have written these kind of documents and writing about all this theory. He wrote 4 main articles. The one was the founder of theory effect, other was photogenic energy equivalence, and there are the explanation of mass of movement in Brownian liquids, and then the theory of special relativity.
Yeah, special relativity. Now, gentlemen, special relativity, I say again, relativity itself depends on gravity and objects spinning out in
a vacuum.
Space, in a vacuum. Okay.
In a vacuum.
But let's remember, the theory, I say again, the theory of gravity, and that's all it is, was invented in the year 1666. Okay, note the sixes. Okay.
Copernicus.
Remember, it was a theory, and it has not been proven yet. Okay, why is it still a theory? Okay, we talked about that last week. Gravity is nothing. That means that all this relativity, all this EMC squared, right? Anything from Einstein is bogus, because gravity has never been proven. That means Einstein cannot be proven either. It's theoretical bullshit, but it's taught as fact in the U.S. schools. It's simply incredible to realize, once we realize that the basis for university science is a lie. It's a myth. It's a deliberate lie. It's never been proven. That's an insult to me, my friends. That's what I'm saying. I'm an A- student from West Point Military Academy. I ate their garbage. I memorized it. I'm a specialist on gravity relativity. Guess what? Now that I know it's a lie, I want to go to every university I can find and show them the lie. Personally, because I'm a scientist myself, I want to show them the bullshit that they're shoving down their students' throats, and they're paying for it gladly. It's simply incredible.
We need a TV show.
Well said. Yeah, well said, Rob. And his theory actually contradicts the traditional Newtonian mechanics. It's basically the idea that the time passes more slow as the speed of one approaches the speed of light relative to slower speed. So it's really contradicting the one before. That theory.
It defies accepted and observed science. How about that? It defies observed science, which
that's exactly what they needed, though. So we can't figure it out, really. We just got to go on what they say.
We have to use our imagination as defined by them, right? They are the magicians. Heliocentrism depends on only imagination.
Well, Einstein said that intelligence is imagination more than knowledge, and your knowledge is only the things you remember from school.
Yeah, forget it. Forget what you've learned. Forget what you observed. Listen to me with the swirly eyes, right? Just listen to me. Let me hypnotize you into university science. University, which is an anagram of Luciferian. We talked about that last week. University is an anagram of Luciferian. Just let me hypnotize you into university education.
Exactly. First of all, the idea that the speed of light is constant and independent movement of the source was not Einstein at all. And it was proposed by the scientist called James Maxwell in 1878.
Oh, the speed
before
of light.
him. We are speaking about 25 years before that.
Yeah. Well, you know what speed of light is? That's nothing but numerology. All it is Luciferian numerology.
Right.
And gentlemen, I will tell you, as an electrician, I studied electric engineering at West Point Military Academy. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to explain to you that the speed of light does not exist. Because, for example, Okay, I will tell you this: the speed of light is instantaneous. Okay, there is no speed of light because light is instantaneous, no different than electricity is instantaneous. Okay, imagine if you will, a kitchen table. Okay, let's say it's 6 feet long and it's 3 feet wide. Okay, imagine that table is a plate. It's a metal plate. Now let's take an electric source like a 110 volt current, like electricity, a cord, and let's put it on that plate and let's electrify the plate. How soon does that plate get magnified? It's immediate, isn't it? When we put electric current on that plate, it's immediately electrified. It doesn't take time for the current to get to the other side. It's immediately electrified. The same goes for light, and same goes for light, because when we turn on the light, we immediately see it wherever we're at. There is no speed of light because it's already there. The medium is already lit as soon as that light comes on, if you see what I mean. The speed of light is nothing but Luciferian numerology.
Right, Rob, but when Maxwell himself studied the phenomena of light extensively, he proposed that it was more electromagnetic in nature, you know, and he wrote this article in 1878.
I give you a down simplified version, but it's absolutely electromagnetic. Yes, sir. And it all comes from the firmament, right? Light is all around us.
Yeah.
The ether, light travels through the ether, no different than electricity travels through metal or water. Light travels through the ether. That's why when you flick on a light anywhere in the world, you're going to see it immediately. There is no speed for it to get from there to here because the light material is already in the ether, just like in metal. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly.
Interestingly,
and it's not infinite either.
When we study the ether, all of this comes to light, which is why the universities don't study the ether. Imagine that. The universities and all their engineering, they ignore the ether, because if they taught it, people would wake up right and left and destroy the university system. There you go. Beautiful, eh?
Exactly. So we are speaking about 27 years before Einstein wrote his theory. Already there were debates with James Maxwell in the scientific community about the same thing, about the light and the being magnetic. And
that was about the time.
Exactly. Exactly. The same time.
Einstein was created no different than Bill Gates to mask Michelson-Morley. That's the very reason, right there. Period.
Exactly, and that debate.
Yes.
Right, and that debate on the nature of light also brought Michelson-Morley to conduct the experiment in 1887, who really could not explain by the mechanics.
Yes. So here's what happened. The world order, meaning at the time it was Vatican and all their scientists, they invented this relativity to mask, to obscure Michelson-Morley, and then they chose, they literally selected Einstein to be the actor for it. He's a salesman. That's all he is. He's a snake oil salesman to sell relativity to the universities. That's all he is. Beautiful.
Exactly. And they know that they tried to detect the movement of the Earth through ether. There was a medium, and that was believed necessary for light propagation. They find no movement of the Earth. The result was zero.
And not only did they find it null, they could have. Their experiment was so finely tuned, they could have detected any movement whatsoever. And they adjusted their experiment hundreds of different ways, just to explore and to find out any different way of finding motion, and it was all null, zero, zip, nada.
Hey,
and they literally proved there's no movement.
You want to hear something funny though? Since nobody has really proved that there is motion of the Earth, if you watch that Globebusters thing, they had Bob prove it. Kind of think that's funny.
Bob the clown. Yes, exactly. Right? Let me guess. It moves when I touch it. See, it's moving.
No, just that was all Netflix talking.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's
with
clown.
Right.
Gentlemen,
With the
I'll say
with
this: we live in an era of mythology. Guess what? So did the Greeks and all their centaurs and the flying Pegasus. We live in an age of modern Greek mythology. The modern Pegasus is what? The space shuttle and the space station. Okay, and that's just to replicate the Tower of Babel. It's no different. We live in modern mythology. It's a little different than the Greeks, but it's based on the Greek mythology because it's all Luciferian. The Babylon had it. The Tower of Babel had it. It's all mythology. That's what the Matrix is. It's the world and it's the government and world of mythology. That's all it is. Modern mythology.
And there is no separation between any of them either. So
Thank you.
let's
Well
get
said.
that off the table. They're
Notice,
all the
why do
same.
we
I
have
don't care what they
why do we
say
have
on the news.
Yes, sir. Why do we have that reflects, Gene? Why do we have a pyramid on the back of the dollar bill? Because the same
Yeah,
damn people
with an
who
eye
rule
on
this
top of
economy,
it.
okay, yeah. The same damn
And-
people who ruled the current economy ruled the Egyptian economy. There you go, Gene, all the way back.
And if you connect the letters MASON, it forms a pentagram on the back around that pyramid as well.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
There's an owl in the top right corner, and the tiny and with the owl, I tell you what, the newer bills, it's not as defined as the older bills. So they kind of seem to maybe erasing that a little bit. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
With the precision they can get in printing with that they could do a better job on the owl nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. And Gene, do you remember where the pentagram came from?
What do you mean?
I'll remind you. The pentagram comes from the pattern of the star planets. Remember the what they call the planet, which is a star, Venus. Okay, Venus. It doesn't do a circle around the North Star. It does a circle, but every now and then it comes into the middle, does a curlicue, and then it goes back out. Every 4 years it comes in, does a curlicue. Guess what? As it makes a complete circle, it makes a curlicue 5 different times.
Yeah, right. I see what you're talking about.
Pentagram, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, and look at the pentagram however you want. You could make it evil or you could make it good.
Right.
There you go.
Well,
But it's just a light in the sky. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah, well, how did they know that pattern back then, though? Pretty interesting.
Gene,
I guess
here's
that was
what
like
it
their
is.
television.
It's simple astronomy. You hear me? Simple astronomy. Why don't we know simple astronomy? Because they have eliminated it from the garbage matrix Luciferian education system. Simple astronomy proves everything that we're saying. Simple astronomy proves flat Earth. It proves the Rakia. And we can look at the North Star doesn't move.
It's a perfect timepiece also.
Absolutely.
The sun tells the time of day, the moon tells the time of month, and the sun tells you the time of the year. Or rather, the stars tell you the time of the year. So
yes, absolutely, you said it.
Right, getting back to Einstein with with Mars, result of Michelson-Morley was the discovery of him is that the Earth travels at speed 0, that the Earth is stationary, So, and that became one of the most weak point for the heliocentric model in that age, due to all the different scientists who was trying to figure it out, and Einstein was there with his fake mental theories made in his mind. He himself says that they are mental experiment. He have most of his stuff mental experiment, and we all know what was his early years with schooling and with all his colleges and engineering he was trying to get in. So it was just making up things, wrong things from different places and making up things.
Yeah, Einstein. How about this? Before they made him the king of science that they did, what we pointed out, Gene, you and Vikka, you've pointed out all these details. Einstein was nothing before they made him the salesman of relativity. He was 0 until they made him the forerunner of relativity in 1905.
Right.
You see the lift? He went from 0 to hero, and only because the Vatican made him so. That's the only reason he got any fame, and they gave him all his fame.
That was when the school system was just starting to get really hot in the United States, at least, right? The colleges were just booming.
There you go,
and
Rockefeller school
Operation
system.
Operation
Okay.
Paperclip was in full swing in 1945. Who knows how long that started before 45, before they admitted to it.
Yes.
So they were probably trickling them over throughout the whole thing. And then, between the space war between the United States and the Russians, the Germans really won that, kind of ironically.
Of course, because they had the superior technology and the superior knowledge. There you go.
Well, there's no technology to get to the moon. It was once they all got together or whatever happened, then they had to produce something at that point. So they got Walt Disney involved.
Of course, yeah. Imagination, right?
Yeah.
Right. Also, in 1892, also Henrik Lorentz proposed the same solution in a way in 1890s, also before Einstein, like Lawrence Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald, how's his name?
Coming in fuzzy, Vikka.
There was a guy Fitzgerald who was doing similar ideas and wrote similar articles. But Einstein was writing much before also. Maybe we are speaking about 10 years before that. Lawrence Fitzgerald's contraction. Rob,
Yes. Yes, sir.
you heard of Lawrence Fitzgerald's contraction?
I'm sorry, Vikka, say again, please.
Lawrence Fitzgerald's contraction.
Lawrence
It was an
Fitzgerald
article.
contraction. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely logical. Literally, what they're claiming as the device moves forward in speed, that the device literally contracts. It gets shorter. It's complete imagination. That's all it
right.
is. But let me tell you, I remember. I think I've told you guys this before. I remember the day when
That's a funny one.
my professor was a lieutenant colonel in the Army explaining this. I remember this precisely. And it's complete fallacy. But this is the university science that a block of whatever arm it is, like 3 inches, shrinks, and gentlemen, here's what it does. It violates. There it is. So the Lorentz Fitzgerald contraction violates the conservation of mass. There it is. That's the heliocentrism defies observed physics. There you go. Observed science. Thanks for bringing that up, Vikka.
Exactly. So there was James Maxwell. There was this guy. He was taking stuff from different places, and putting it up. Also, Guillermo Occam also was another. So
every damn one of those are just British experiments that show complete bullshit. That's all it is.
Exactly, and the Michelson-Morley experiment also in the 1925 said like geocentrism is true, and Einstein himself admits that Michelson-Morley experiment of 1887 was the basis of his theory of relativity. Also, French Poincaré had written in 1898 an article unifying many of these ideas 7 years earlier than Einstein article. Also, Poincaré, French scientist.
You think they were there just to get people used to the idea?
Yes.
No, but most of this, yep, could be. But why is this guy robbing everybody's stuff? That's the thing. The thing is happening here is what it seems like. Einstein was. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Vikka. Go ahead. I was just trying to remember. Just real quick. Here's the answer. It's one big self-licking ice cream cone.
Right.
They control academia from every angle, and so here's what they do. It's called a filibuster. It's also known as frequency jamming. They put their garbage in every venue, so whenever anybody looks it up, they're going to find the same garbage. And guess what, gentlemen? When I researched terrorism, when I researched Islamic terrorism at the graduate level at K-State University, 2011, spring of 2011, I found the same damn phenomenon. When I started looking at the higher levels of descriptions of Islamic terrorism, I found the same damn bullshit.
No hot
Everybody
word,
says
brother.
and they reference each other. You see what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's
Rob.
the same
No hot
that's what
words.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right, but it's the same academic garbage. They all write about the same thing, and they all reference each other because they're all on the same ship. They're on the same Luciferian ship.
Exactly, and there was also another Scottish guy named Robert Brown
Yep.
about this Brownian motion in the liquid, and then was also one Austrian guy named Ludwig Boltzmann.
Okay, now Vikka, are these people who are spouting the same garbage as Einstein?
More or less different aspect, yeah, different aspect of the same thing. And but you have also Marcus and Morley there who's just saying it's not true. So there are people who are trying to explain the things in a right way, maybe putting the ether or trying to show that the earth doesn't move and the Newton was wrong and this bending of time, space and relativity is wrong, or because there's maths involved, there were mathematicians, there were all kind of different aspects of these scientists, so everyone is looking for their own. And what this clown is doing here is taking from everywhere and putting it up some other shit, in a way he's taking stuff from credible sources and mixing it up with this bullshit. Go ahead.
Here's a more philosophical viewpoint. What they did is they were building the foundation. They were throwing out the gravel, building the pyramid, and little by little, and the pyramid comes up, and then Einstein comes along. He's the very cap of the pyramid. They laid the pyramid on all of their other writings. You see what I mean? Einstein comes along in 1905, but all the other people had been writing since 1887. They were laying the foundation, building up. Remember the pyramid? Okay, they're building a pyramid of all these writings, and then Einstein comes along with his great grand theory and sets the cap on top of it. Yep. There's the paradigm right there.
Absolutely. That's kind of how I see it.
Oh yeah.
Preparation work.
Notice it's always the pyramid of Plato's Republic. Plato's Republic is the pyramid. Plato's Republic is nothing new to him. Remember, Plato was just an actor. He didn't necessarily invent the Republic. The Republic goes back to Egypt with the pyramid. It's the same politics, different faces, different epoch of time, different time era. Mm-hmm. Guys, exactly. You see where I'm going here? It's the same method of population and science control, societal control. They just change the face every now and then to match the technology and population mantras. That's all they do. And they need a new actor every 20 years. By the way, I want to point this out. I pointed out before. There's a movie out. It's called Dune, like sand dune, D-U-N-E. That is their movie. That is the movie of the Luciferians. They make that movie to show their every generation. They made a movie in 1984 was the first one. Then about the year 1999, 2000 was the next one, more or less 20 years later. And now 20 years after that, they got a new version. Every generation, they're going to make a new version. I'm going to claim this right now. I'll predict it right now. They're going to make a new one about the year 2040 for the next generation. Every 20 years, they're going to make a new one, a new movie, a new version of the movie Dune. Because if you watch that, Frank Herbert, he wrote it in 1964. Yeah. He wrote that book as a masterpiece of societal manipulation. One for one, each of those characters in that movie applies to the real world in front of us. Absolutely. So and I've read that book 4 times, by the way. I've watched the movie more than that.
Then it's got to be predictive. It's not by chance.
Exactly, Gene. And you know
exactly what to put in there, what not to put in there, and
the book
how to make they know how to make it look more mysterious than reality. So you don't,
shoot my dog's going crazy.
Science fiction, right?
Yeah, right.
Right, mysterious science fiction.
Yeah, looking to make believe.
Voila. There it is. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. We live in a world of myth, ruled by mythology. Even the universities, it's ruled by mythology. Incredible. That's,
Theoretical mythology, nonetheless.
exactly.
Theory on top of theory on top of theory.
In our day, it's called theory.
Yeah.
What they give us in the Greeks' day, it's called myth. In our day, it's called theory, but there is no difference. There you go. Well said.
Not really.
All right, guys.
But,
So we're just gonna take a short break, and we're gonna be right back. If it's all right. Yep.
that sounds good.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Great conversation.
We'll be back
by the
in
way.
2 minutes, guys. All right, welcome back, guys. That was the promo of Truth in Plain Sight. Yes, do consider to become a member of this channel on YouTube or on Facebook. You could subscribe on Truth in Plain Sight because Draziv to keep the shows going. And yes, what an awesome show we're having today too. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to the people in the chat. There is Effie Nation. There's Jeannie, there's John Fig, there's Tommy Rogers, Dr. Frankenstein, then we have got the Glory of Yah creation, somebody from Facebook, and then we have got some more people from Facebook. We've got 7-Eleven Lucas, and more people from Facebook. Then we got Monty, then name isn't important. All right, welcome back to the show, guys. There's Rob Taylor and Jeannie Edited with me. We are ripping off one of the biggest fraud in science, who still have his marks still today, that is affecting the whole world. The biggest fraud, Einstein.
The biggest fraud in university science, literally the grandfather of university science and physics. And we just destroyed it. Literally in this less than 1 hour conversation, doesn't take us more than 10 minutes. We destroyed the literal grandfather of modern university mythology. We could call it university mythology. There you go. He's gone, dead in the historical coffin.
Right. And also, Rob, so there could be some of the scientists who were prepared to get all this stuff together, but there are people who are really are against him for robbing his stuff. For example, the E equal mc square is the real original work of James Maxwell, a Scottish physicist. So there are people who are really trying to screw him in a way, like legally.
Yeah, true. But then again,
because
anything
because the same because the same royalties that he got, maybe the other would have got, right, for
right,
their
exactly.
work.
So not only is he a theoretical thief, he's a literal thief as well.
He's like Edison.
Yeah, exactly. Edison's another one. Edison was just an actor. He's another actor, another technical actor that stole and accumulated ideas for the world order. There you go. And didn't Edison steal a lot from Tesla? Right? Wasn't he get most of his ideas from Tesla?
Yeah, and his workers.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
He would run to the patent office with his workers' stuff, cut him out of the deal.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
He was terrible for that.
There you go. Yep. Voila.
And the other thing also, he was speaking about the topic also, he covered in the article, the Einstein was the foundation of the theory of photoelectric effect. Like the photoelectric effect is the release of electrons of certain metals or semiconductors by the action of light.
Under certain circumstances. That's like if it's raining in Florida and they do the experiment in Jersey and it's sunny in Mexico, then the experiment works. Only under those conditions on a Thursday.
You know what that reminds me of? The photoelectric effect. If you scare a porcupine, some of his quills are going to come off his tail. How about that?
Right. He got a Nobel Prize for that too.
Exactly, he got a Nobel Prize for that crap. Yeah.
He got a Nobel Prize for waking up that day. That's what it was for.
From Barack.
That's how you get a Nobel Prize. You wake up that day, and the prize has your name on it. That's what Nobel Prize means.
Yeah, it's garbage. You know, they get a lot of money for that. A lot of money.
Oh yeah, that's why.
By the way, gentlemen, let me negate the photoelectric effect already because I already told you about the speed of light is non-existent because the speed of light is instantaneous. Remember the metal plate example that I gave you? When you put a charge on a metal plate, the current or the effect of it exists immediately. There's no time travel. It exists immediately. Okay, so there goes the photoelectric effect right there, and thus the photoelectric effect again. That's just numerology. It's this Luciferian numerology, theoretical numerology. That's all it is.
What's exactly, it supposed to do? What is it supposed to do?
I'm sorry, Gene. What's the question? What is it supposed to do? You mean the photoelectric effect?
Yeah. What does it mean?
From what I understand, when you pass a current through a metal, it gives off a that's what I was going to say. Electrons don't exist. Neither do protons or neutrons. That is nothing but theoretical Luciferian numerology. Okay? Right.
Yeah.
So, and back to the metal plate, the electrified metal plate. All they've done is they've quantified the what we observe in a metal plate. If there's current, well, there must be electrons passing from one source to another, and that's where they invent these neutrons and electrons. All of that goes back to the periodic table, which goes back to alchemy. Okay, it's all the same family. Okay, protons and neutrons are just from alchemy. It's theoretical nonsense. Okay,
right? Yeah, it's not.
So I'm trying to remember the photovoltaic effect, like you're saying, the photovoltaic effect. When you pass a current through, here's really what happens. Okay,
is it like electrolysis?
Yes, it is. That's exactly what.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
When you pass current through a plate, it gives off a pattern. That's all it is. It gives off a pattern. Now think about a balloon. When you rub a balloon on your hair and it gets electrified, it'll stick on the wall. And imagine if you lay out some metal filings, it's going to make a pattern. That's
Right.
all the photovoltaic effect. That's all it is. And we observe that. It's static electricity, okay? That's
Right.
all it is. Static electricity. And it exists everywhere. Incredible.
Right.
That's
And,
all
and Rob, didn't you
There's-
once say that just like a balloon, you rub a balloon on your head that sticks to a wall, you could do that with a hammer if it wasn't so heavy?
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up, Gene. Exactly. You'd have to rub it quite a while. You'd have a pretty electrified source, but it would work. See, think about
It would
it.
work.
There's some theory for you. If you could rub, you could rub some enough static electricity on a hammer, you could stick it on the wall. That
Right.
is theoretically accurate.
Right.
There you go.
And that defeats gravity. Right.
And that's the only way. Remember Bob Nodell? He likes to talk
Right.
about that.
Yeah.
He says,
Yeah.
well, if we could reverse gravity by electricity, yeah, exactly. It's called static electricity. If you could put enough of a charge on anything, yeah, it's going to reverse gravity. But you got to have a pretty substantial electric charge, okay? You can reverse gravity on a rubber balloon, but not on a hammer, for
Right,
example.
right.
Good luck. It's possible, but good luck.
No,
Exactly, and this photoelectric effect has been explained before Einstein, before even Einstein was Heinrich Hertz and another guy called Philip Lenard. You know that this phenomena they already did this explanation much before Einstein, how this
Right.
is working or what is happening, what is exactly happening in this. Yep, go ahead.
And in their age, it was all theoretical, right? It was all, they're just mentally mesmerizing about this. Okay, they're just writing about imagination, and so that's what it is. Einstein comes along, puts it all under one roof, and puts a cap on it. There you go. That's the paradigm. In other words, Einstein is the cap of theoretical physics. There you go. They put it all together under Einstein and called it relativity. There you go. Simply stated. If you haven't
Right, and there,
this, because I'm speaking as a degreed engineer, and I'm destroying all the engineering, math, and theory I ever learned, because theory is garbage. Why is it taught as fact? I'm passionate about this. They're taught, Einstein's theories are taught as fact, and they're based on garbage. And it's patently simple for anybody to see. You don't have to have an engineering degree to realize that gravity doesn't exist. And why is it still a theory if it was invented more than 400 years ago?
Exactly. When does it become fact?
Yeah, when does it become fact? The answer is never, never. It's impossible. So there you go. University is full of mythology. Simply incredible. And I told you guys, I have the equivalent of 2 master's degrees. So I'm not just an engineer. I've got 2 I've got 2 master's degrees in strategic diplomacy. Okay, so and yes, I combine all of this under one roof.
Under one hat.
Yeah, under one hat, and it's called the shirt for truth. How about that? How about reality? One hat called reality.
right, and in 1940s, like a group of German scientists in Austria declared that, like many other scientists, had created the foundation of the theory of relativity, and the media didn't promote their work, and the media only promoted Albert Einstein's work because he had
their complaint. Okay, I read that meme again. The complaint of the 100 German and Austrian scientists was that Einstein and people like him were leading science into a pseudoscientific cult of non-science and Luciferian numerology. That's what they were really saying. They really meant to say Luciferian numerology, which I have stated multiple times in this conversation. That's all it is. Luciferian theoretical numerology. That's all it is.
Exactly, and this
hallucination.
Right, and this general theory claimed that the rays of light should bend when they pass through a massive object.
Exactly.
Yeah, like a galaxy or a star, right?
They're trying to invent curve. There you go, the curve. They're looking for curve in all the wrong places.
Gravity across millions and millions and millions of miles creates light to bend. That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly right.
Exactly.
Whatever happened, but what happens to the inverse square law of light? Then how do they make up both of these theories, right?
Exactly. Again, Gene, it violates observed phenomena. It violates observed science, right?
It violates their own stuff.
Think about what you said.
One of them has to negate the other one.
Non-existent gravity over non-existent millions of miles equals the existence of nothing.
Sunshine.
Divided by 0. It's undefined. There you go. It's undefinable.
Exactly. And in 1919, there was an eclipse of the sun, and it was supposedly observed that the light of the distant star passing by the sun bent according to the theory, but what was actually really happening was just refraction, so this was taken seriously as an evidence of the theory of relativity. Like, this was taken as the real evidence for Einstein's theory, and the media took the advantage and prop up Einstein like a hero in the 1919 in the London Times. So after seeing that eclipse, the people are stupid. Yeah.
They could show them anything. Show a bird egg falling out of a nest. Oh, Einstein, gravity, right? The media can say anything it wants, and the sad fact of it is, the majority of people will believe whatever they're told, right? That's the sad fact of it.
One of the presidents said that people don't believe anything till they see it on TV, and that was like in the 50s or something.
Bill Casey, 1981. We'll know our job is complete when everything these people believe is a lie.
Yeah.
And how do we do
right?
it?
And how was the headlines on 7th November 1919 when this happened after the eclipses? The headline was "Revolution in Science: New Theory of the Universe, Newtonian Idea Overthrown."
Exactly. Yeah. We have an all new set of science. In other words, we've rewritten science. Everything we've observed for the last 500 years no longer exists. We have a new science.
Yeah, and they do that all the time. They rewrite it. All the settled science is totally debatable between themselves.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the French Revolution. Edward Burke, he said this. He's an Englishman about the French Revolution. He said, what you've done all with your French economy and government, which has existed for hundreds of years, you've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and that is a fallacy. You should never ever do that. That's what he said. And so what they do, Gene, like Gene and Vikka, what you've said, every so often they throw out science and they introduce their new mythology, okay, right, and they replace what we have observed. And now the gullible have to observe the world from a different eye, like they have to take out their brain and put a new one in. Complete and utter fallacy.
Exactly, and that was kind of the beginning of force feeding the myth of Einstein to the masses after those events.
Exactly, it was no different than the force feeding of the globe into English or British academia in about the year 1500. The king, literally King Henry, forced the universities to teach the globe. They wouldn't touch it unless he forced them to. He was going to remove their funding, even penalties, life penalties, unless they preached the globe. That's the only way the globe got into the university system, because he forced it.
The funding.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and right after that he became. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, I was just going to relate that to the federal government and the states. The states in the U.S., the states don't like the federal government, but they tolerate the federal government because the federal government gives them allowances, gives them hundreds of millions of dollars. So the states like that, but with a price. Because the states accept all this federal money, they have to do exactly what the federal government says. They have to preach and they have to teach what the federal government buys influence with the states. That's really what happens. Just like the universities, the funding.
Right, and after that he was seen as an ideal. He was for the popular masses from England, from US. The image of him was promoted as a rare genius. He was believed by the masses. They accepted the idea that if someone was so bright enough to change our fundamental understanding of the universe, so we should certainly listen to his view on political and social issues too. So he was right in body in there for that shit. Yeah.
Kind of like Bill Gates, Al Gore, right? Same pattern, same damn pattern.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
Different factions, the science,
Right.
the history, the geology,
Exactly.
the future, the past. It's all.
What does that tell us about any of the historical figures we ever studied in the school or universities? They're all fake. They're all actors. It's all concocted history.
Yeah, it is. It's all just a story about people that didn't exist, about things that never happened.
Exactly. Fake people and their fake histories inventing stories that never even happened. That's what we memorized from grade 1 to grade 16. There you go. Incredible.
Yeah. Think about the school system goes from kindergarten to 12th, really, right? Before you get to college, and that's 13 years. That's the number they like, 13.
Oh, there's your 13, right? Yeah, exactly.
At the best times of the day when you're supposed to be with your family and all that.
Okay, exactly.
And it's worse than a job. When you go 9 to 5, you go home, you leave your job there. Sometimes you gotta do your homework, and that can take.
Do your homework.
You gotta do your homework, and that can take till 7 o'clock after dinner. You got to do work on the weekends if you got. So it's worse than a job, in ways. They're taking your childhood away, and they're force feeding you a bunch of garbage to go pay taxes. The more taxes you pay, the better off you are.
Well said there, Gene. Could we say intellectual servitude and comprehensive indoctrination? That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And what was the origin of it? Here's the origin. Rockefeller wanted trained employees, but he didn't want to pay for it. So he presented the idea to the U.S. Congress, who said, "Yeah, this is a great idea. Let's invent public schools to train employees for the corporations." What a great idea!
Yeah, and look what he got.
He got a completely educated and meaning indoctrinated working class that can read instructions and follow instructions and produce assembly line instruction. There you go.
Yeah, and raise your hand when you got to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. Wait for permission to do anything.
Right.
Yeah, and take all guidance and all thought processes from the teacher.
Well,
the teacher heads off to the boss.
Yeah, and the teachers, and my son was in sports, so I got personal grievances against the refs for what they do. So, but it struck me when he was a young kid that these people are only there to prepare you that you better listen to the person with the right shirt on.
Absolutely.
If they got the right shirt on, you better do what they say, because you can't cross those lines. It's just preparation work for life.
Yeah, indoctrination preparation, right? That's
right.
it.
Right.
Yes, sir.
No, I still walk around with ref rage.
Exactly. We can't think. We literally can't even think unless somebody tells us we can.
Yeah.
By their model, right? By their model. Isn't it so liberating to walk around the world and to think freely for ourselves, with nobody on our back, with no deadline for somebody's homework or somebody's presentation? We don't have to not work or not think for anybody. Isn't it liberating?
I can't picture being one of those people I was, like 8 or 10 years ago, whatever, 6 or 8 years ago, defending all of this stuff. It fell apart for me really quick. And Einstein, I knew there was a problem with Einstein when the band Tesla first came out. In 1989, I first started hearing about Tesla. Like, wow, that guy is real? And then a few years later, their third album had a song called Edison's Medicine, where they were talking about how he was a liar and a thief. And that song just, the band struck me. Like, why are they talking about guys like Edison and Einstein? Like, what is that equation anyway? Who knows? I must have
Genie. Yeah. Genie, the Tesla himself also needs a whole show for him. There's so much about Tesla also, the same way we're doing Einstein for sure, we're going to do also Tesla. He is so much stuff there that the people really don't know with what's happening with Tesla. So definitely we're going to do that in the coming future also. Right. He also, how you say, The same way, dedicated to him. As we dedicated this to Einstein, we want to dedicate it to him. So after Einstein, so his myth is still been continued till today, even 100 years later. And Time magazine in 1999 named him the person of the century. But he
And they
should
still
be
make
said
bogus
the
quotes.
fraud of the
They still make
century
bogus
is
quotes
the
today.
real.
Yeah, good point.
Go ahead, Rob.
And they still make bogus quotes that he made up, right? You see what I mean? And I'm sorry to interrupt here. Please continue that thought, Vika. But Gene, what was the name of that music group you were talking about?
Tesla.
I remember that music group. They're like a pseudo rock band.
Right.
Okay.
Not too hard, not too soft.
And hey, yeah, exactly. Hey guys, I need to call my boy if you don't mind. So I'm going to step out of the group for a bit and then I'll come back in.
Okay.
All right, thanks. I'll be right back.
All right, yeah, we are maybe a 15 minutes more. We're gonna be here. So even Stephen Hawking, he has himself has said that Einstein is not the one who really created this theory of relativity. So he himself is saying in one of the articles too, Stephen Hawking. So it's crazy. It's crazy that how they mix up everything. And there's also some evidence showing that his wife Mileva Marlik was the co-author of that theory. So who knows? Maybe he really married just for that, to have that
Married
part
into
of
the
the
theory.
study as his own. Yeah, like
I did hear that too,
validating it.
actually. That his wife was more scientifically knowledgeable than he was. I didn't know if it was true or not, though. But
Exactly,
that
and
was
the
his
same
first wife,
theories.
right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first one.
Right.
Yeah, the thing is that the theory of relativity is maintained its popularity because it has been supported by universities, influential institutions, people,
Yeah.
controllers, the elite. So the Einstein's fame was not due to really scientific research or conclusion. He was just
No, I don't understand how you could theorize about something going the speed of light when nothing can go that fast.
oh yeah, because in the end he's speaking about bending, also bending of space, this bending of
Right.
space and time. So
Yeah.
as we
How
discussed that too. Yeah, go ahead.
that's how the light bends. Like if there's two suns and one is further than the other, the light from the further one will be the light from the closer one will bend the light from the further one because it's so the gravitational time and space around it gets warped. And that's what they recently discovered in Lido, as one of the laser research places, like 10 years ago, maybe less, that they discovered that, yeah, Einstein was right about light bending around galaxies that are far away. And it's insane because, like, they'll say galaxy has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of stars, but how it just doesn't make sense because the light doesn't travel through a vacuum. So there's no
Right,
vacuum.
right,
There's no vacuum to measure the light from. They're just making this stuff up.
right. So
Nice,
so what
nice
also?
story,
Yeah,
but
right. So what happened was all these scientists, they actually got together and they tried to screw him. Case against Einstein, case against theory of relativity. There's another book which was released in 1971 called Science in Crossroad. That's against the theory of relativity. So any globers who are saying where is their science, and go and look for all these references we are giving in here, all the names we are giving here, the articles, the
yeah,
documents, the books. Go and look it for yourself. Why these people don't go and look at this evidence? They just blindly accept what's been fed to them, and they don't want to see all these people who are there literally with academics and scientists who are against them. And there are books also, as I mentioned, this one,
Yeah.
Science in Crossroads.
Right, data and experiments. Michelson Morley, the first and foremost.
Funny you say about the signs that group Tesla did a song called Signs. It was a remake.
Sign, take away the sign, right? There you go.
Yeah.
I remember.
So, and I think that music and movies really just they're designed to let clues out mostly.
Truth in the movies, lies in the news, and in music, and in Hollywood, right?
They don't care about our entertainment. They do not care about us. So it's not really there for that. They have to tell us things.
Fodder for the masses, right? Exactly.
Yeah. But,
Exactly. So that was also mentioning, Rob, when you were not there, that it's this. There are so many articles, as I mentioned, also about Stephen Hawking, and also I mentioned about this book called Science in Crossroads and other documents, and which all goes against the theory of relativity, and these globers or the flat earth deniers needs to go and look at this part of evidence too, to compare. They can't just say Einstein what he said, that's the true, all his theory can be proved, and there are legal authentic people who are against this crap.
Oh, there's
It's
plenty.
there for anybody to go and look for it.
MIT professor talks about if the Earth is a globe, then why are all the buildings, all of them are parallel? If the Earth was a globe, then the tops of buildings would be farther apart, and buildings would be coming out of a radius in the center, but they're
like
not.
a cup.
All buildings are parallel in they're plumb to the Earth, which is parallel in their
Right.
in their. They're not sticking straight out of a ball, which means at different angles in 360 degrees all the way around.
Right. Like a cartoonish version of buildings
Exactly.
sticking
Right.
off a small world. Like a cup shape, smaller on the bottom, bigger on the top. Should be
There-
plumb
exactly.
if it's big enough.
Exactly. There's an MIT professor talks about that. MIT, the great engineering school. Okay. Now, I would. You know what? I just realized something. This is my study of heliocentrism. All of their study of galaxies and light years, all of it comes from the Rakia. They know the Rakia better than we do, okay? And they
Right.
make mythology about it. So literally, if we can extrapolate everything they say about stars and planets and galaxies and apply it to the Rakia, we would unravel all of their mythology.
Devil's in the details, Rob, right?
There you go, right? And that's all we have to do. There's the 2 points. Take what they give us about stars and planets and all of their curvature of space and all the millions of years, apply that to the Rakia and the dome around us. We can find the origin of their myth in the Rakia. It goes no further than that. That's fabulous.
I've always wondered why the Vatican has such a great curiosity about the stars and where they're moving and not moving, and I always wondered if because they rent space in some big telescope facilities around the world, and they're looking for something. So I wonder if something moves a certain way, is it going to be a signal for them, and they're going to hit the tunnels and they're going to leave us here?
Well, think about this. The power to control a thing, or let me say this again. The power to destroy a thing is the power to control a thing.
Right.
When we control something, that's called slavery. But they don't. A slave master does not want to destroy the slave. The slave master wants to exploit the slave.
Right.
In other words, to exploit societies and all of humanity, they have to control the stars. So with all their big telescopes, all they're doing is extenuating their control of the heavens, meaning the masses have no idea what the heavens are. So the Vatican controls literally what the masses know about the stars. It's one big show. That's all it is. You see what I mean? To extenuate their control over people's knowledge of the heavens. That's all it is.
Yeah, and have people think that they know better.
That's right. So they appear to have the control over all this knowledge, but in reality, there's this garbage. Literally astronomy 101, simple astronomy proves the Rakia. Like you said, Gene, it's one big timepiece, one big elegant and finely tuned. The astrolabe disproves heliocentrism because it's always accurate. Always.
And that's why we're on the Gregorian calendar, because it doesn't really line up.
Exactly.
So they threw the calendar off to not match the stars. Now we don't know what we're looking at.
They
And
must
now we don't know
control,
where we are, when we are.
yes, to
All that
control
great
the
stuff.
minds of people. They have to control the academia. They have to control what people think. And so they seek to control everything. They control all the churches.
Well, they
all but
have to,
one.
because if they don't have all the control, then the information seeps out, and then it blows the dam open, and the waters are free.
And that's
And
why
that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Yes, sir.
That's what we're
Absolutely.
doing, guys. Because this story is nonsense. E equals MC squared was designed to hide 8 inches per mile squared.
Eggs, milk, and cookies
Oh yeah,
twice.
yeah. There was also another independent astrophysical researcher named Stevens. I forgot the surname. Like had a document where he refutes the theory of relativity titled General Relativity in Recognition. But also a professor Gerardo, a Nobel Prize winner also, where he proved the falsehood of the black hole theory, the Big Bang cosmology, and the theory of Einstein general
Right.
relativity. Yep.
Dark matter. Their
Yeah.
theory cannot account. There's got to be a bunch of more mass out of what the universe that they claim, and so they invented dark matter. Okay, that's all. It's all complete garbage.
95% is what they have no idea what 95% of the universe is.
And where it is or what it is, but it must be out there because
It's
that's what our
got to
math
be
says.
out there.
That's what our theoretical math says, right?
But you know that could turn into a version of the spirit, because we don't know, like we don't see the spirit, we don't physically feel it, or do we? Maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I try to reverse their stories into reality somehow and see sometimes it fits.
Luciferian. Don't even try that. But let me throw something out here. Einstein and Newton, they're nothing but theory. Okay, nothing but theory. The universities are based on theory. Now, let me ask you, how much theory do we get? How many theories do we have in the Holy Scripture?
Zero, right?
Zero. We can observe the Bible, what the Bible says about the lack of motion of the earth. The earth is a circular plane with a dome over it. We observe that. We observe nothing of their theoretical world. Nothing.
No.
Okay? Make that comparison right there. Anybody, that simple comparison right there, one has to stop the entire ship called the university and refigure everything.
Yeah, and what did the Big Bang create? The universe, right?
Out of nothing, right? How does that happen? That also violates conservation of mass. Nothing can ever become something, right? That violates Newton's laws, which we observe. That violates observed science. Voila.
Right. And the thing is that the Einstein theory were widely accepted, only through propaganda, the dominance of like scientific institutions, acceptance, generalized, relativity had nothing to do with the truth or genuine science,
Yes, sir. They were accepted as exoteric. Let me say again, exoteric fact. Okay. The theories of the universities, and like you say, Vikka, they were accepted as exoteric fact, not esoteric. Exoteric, meaning for the masses, the lies for the masses, the myths for the masses.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
sold us
And
all the garbage.
Yep.
right. The simple fact is that Michelson, Morley, and Edwin Moore refuted the heliocentric model, and the theory of Einstein's relativity, and that's based on the experiment by Michelson Morley. Without this experiment, the theory of relativity would not have been necessary.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Just proof the proof.
Yeah, exactly. That's all Einstein does. All that pyramid of studies and theory, myth, and Einstein put the cap on it, like the white cap on the Pyramid of Giza. That's all he did. It was all one big ruse, one big 20-year ruse. Or 18 years.
Oh yeah, so there it is, people. Go and look. We put a lot of references here to go and look into, lots of names, lot of people, lot of different documents, and all the timelines, and how he was brought in here, and what he was actually was, how he was ripping people off. And he did many other things. He was supposed to share notes with different scientists, and he was taking the notes and he was not giving his, and he was claiming as his, in conferences, in speeches, in with other scientists. So he was playing around a lot, and with the help of being a bit of Freemason, and with the propaganda of the media and everything. So he had his best of his time. So that's why he still, many believe he's crap. So
Yeah, people believe it because they buy it at the universities. They literally buy his garbage because they pay for their university degrees. They literally buy it, and so most people, they just believe whatever the
Yeah,
university. It must
but
be true because the
who
university said
owns? It's the Rockefellers that own the institutions, though. So they,
it. Or they're tied,
they're
right?
working hand in hand.
Of course. Yep.
So,
Yes, sir.
and you
oh
think
yes.
about the stuff they don't teach us. They don't teach us anything important in life.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nothing about how to grow a garden, or your health, or how to manage your health care, insurance, even nothing. So there's always
Yeah,
stuff like
skills.
that too.
People need to learn skills more than all these fake maths. That's what it's really. You use basic maths. Even in construction, in carpentry, and everything.
Yeah,
You have to use a
angles
bit
and
of maths. Yeah.
Kind of like
But
two
other
plus
than
two
that,
theorem.
yeah, I've never used A. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, so A is equal to C. Bullshit.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
8 inches per mile square.
Simple
That's what I
sense.
want to. That's what
They
I
don't
want to
teach
see them prove.
they don't teach that in the universities, do they? And they never will because it
I,
destroys the university. 8 inches
I
per
never
mile
even heard
square.
that till about 6 or 8 years ago when I got into this. I had no idea.
Exactly, huh? And by the
Ah,
way, Gene and Vika, I know how to derive that 8 inches per mile square on a simple napkin. I can show you how to do it. Very simple, using the Pythagorean theorem.
right.
I know how to do that. And actually, I'm the only one that I know that knows how to do that. I sat down one night and I said, I'm going to figure this out. And it took me a couple hours, but I realized, okay, I used two different ways to come at it, but I figured out how to show that the curve of the earth has to be 8 inches per mile squared. I can do the derivation.
I want to see that napkin.
Okay. I could actually give me a couple minutes and I can write it up right here. Seriously, but I'll do it. I'll send it out to the group.
Send me
And as
that.
a Vika, we should do that.
I like to know different ways to. I like to know different ways to be able to call that and show it that it doesn't exist.
Absolutely. I have the math. In other words, what I'm telling you is I can do the math that shows the Earth must curve 8 inches per mile squared. I have it. I know how to
And
do
so,
it.
Rob, when in a state like Kansas and the surrounding states don't add up to to the curve, don't they have to make it up too?
Exactly. If one place is too flat, they got to make it up somewhere else, and somewhere else has to be even more curved than that.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now that you bring that up, Gene, I'm reading a book now. I've broken down. I'm going to read this. It's called "The Greatest Lie on Earth" by Edward Henry. It's about the flat Earth. Okay. It's not just Kansas, Gene. It's the entire Earth. The entire Earth is flatter than a pancake, and that includes Everest and all the mountain ranges.
Right. Well, you know what?
Pancake.
They say that if the Earth was shrunk down to the size of a tennis ball, it would be smoother than marble. So it kind of compares that it is. It's flat.
There you go.
It's
There you go.
relatively flat. And don't forget,
statistical fact.
and with when you talk about the land, that's only 30% of the world. So there's that too, right? And water don't curve, so that's 70%.
Right, 70%. Okay, good point there. Exactly. The surface of the Earth is flatter than a pancake.
All right, guys. So we're gonna be wrapping up. So last thoughts about Einstein, and we're gonna be wrapping up.
I'll do it. One big fraud. Einstein is one big actor fraud, no different than Al Gore, Bill Gates, or that dude who introduced all the jabs. Okay, It's one big fraud. That's all. Simply stated, that's all for me. Jesus Christ is the Son of God, the Son of God in the flesh, and did resurrect. That's the glory of Jesus Christ. All the truth of flat earth leads to Jesus Christ.
All right, awesome, brother. Was great to have all the inputs too, bro. So
Yes,
let's
sir.
see.
Thanks, Vikka. That's my last again. Vikka, so much. Thank you so much for all the work you do putting this together. Thank you. And Gene, thanks for your input today as well. All of our colleagues. We got a bunch of other colleagues. Thanks to them, even though they're not here today. Thanks to them, they're our brothers in scientific faith of truth. Right? Thanks to everybody. Thanks for all of our listeners. Thanks for everybody involved. Let's preach it more. Let's share it more with the rest of the world.
Oh yeah, Gene.
Hey man,
Last
Vikka,
thoughts,
I know
bro.
it's late for you, brother. Thanks so much for throwing the show together again. It's always great to be here with you guys. Absolutely fun. I hope everyone in the audience had fun, and thanks for coming back, spending your time with us. I know I learned a bunch tonight about Einstein. He was just a puppet, part of the show, and his theories are just theories on top of theories, you guys. None of it's real, and they quiet down. They shut down. They censored these people long before censorship was popular.
Yeah. How about Einstein is the capstone of the theory? How about that?
Yeah, King
Yes, sir.
theory. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh
that, man.
yeah.
Thanks again, Vikka. Great night. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good week.
Thanks for being here, Jeannie. It's
Thanks.
always a pleasure to. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we saw how big ripoff he is, and how the media helped him, and all his influence helped him to just get a lazy person, a zero with actually no IQ, where were having problem in his early years, and all the way he the work he did in the patent, in the patent office, as a clerk, and how he got into the universities with his fake math and his fake theory made up in the mind, and ripping people off, taking stuff from different people, and also from his own wife, and his. So he's a fraud. There's
Yes, sir.
nothing as a genius in him. Is an idol just put there for the masses to just look up to, and everybody wants to be like him with his crazy hair, as we spoke about. But nothing is working. There is no bending of space and time, and
Fodder for the
bullshit.
masses.
So
Yes, sir.
thank you guys.
One more
Thank
thing,
you guys for
Vikka,
being here.
you brought up something
Thank
to
Yep.
my
you.
mind. Einstein
Okay.
did not get into the university. Einstein was forced into the universities by somebody else. He was forced there.
Oh yeah.
He was planted
There we go. Thank you. I just wanted to point that out. Well said.
to
Thanks again,
bend space and minds.
There you go.
More than time.
There you
Space
go.
and time.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody in the chat. And thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Rob. And yeah, and see you guys next week with another show of Heliopsychosis, guys. Bye, everyone.
Love it.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.